Most people think that success is about learning the right strategies, getting the right mentor. But here's what no one tells you, and that is your external results will never exceed your internal programming. You might say, like, what the heck does that mean? Well, it means that your results that you see in your life will never exceed what is happening in here. It's literally impossible. I learned this the hard way when I was 21 years old and coming off of winning a championship. My doctors told me that it would take a full year to recover from a hip surgery. A full year on the sideline. Crazy thing is, my brother had that exact same surgery twice and he never came back the same. But for me, I recovered in 4 months, and it wasn't because I had better genetics or I had better doctors. It was because I discovered the same mental programming that took me from working at Pandex for $12 an hour to building a business that generates $30,000 a month. And here's the crazy part, because I've analyzed the mindset patterns of every millionaire coach I've had, and they all do the exact same thing. So in this video, I'm breaking down the exact 3-step mental programming system that I use to rewire my brain for success. This is the exact framework I now teach to my clients who are building their online empires. By the way, I'm Kennedy, a 6-figure business consultant, former D1 athlete, and I run a consulting business helping coaches and service providers scale their online business to consistent 30K month, but also the identity and success principles that sustain one. These are the exact principles I apply in my business, helped dozens of clients implement every single day. So all right, let's get into it. The first thing to understand is your brain operates like a computer, just like the one in front of me, just so I can reference so I don't forget anything that is written down on my notes, okay? Your brain can run on programming that was installed from your past. That is childhood beliefs, family money stories, past failures, repeated patterns or cycles, and things people have said around you that you might have started to believe. So most people are trying to build a life that is built on 20-year-old software. They want new results, but they're still thinking from the past fear they have been in, the old insecurities, the old limitations, and old beliefs about what they thought was possible for them. So for me, not growing up with wealth and like success around me, it kind of felt far away, and it made life that I saw other people living like online and things like that, it almost made it feel impossible. It made me question whether that kind of success was really for me, if it was available for me, if it was available for someone like me or my family. And when you grow up with that mindset, those patterns can follow you into adulthood and ultimately sabotage the goals that you have now. This is why the red car theory matters, because if I were to tell you to look at a car, you're going to suddenly realize red cars everywhere, not because they just magically appeared, but because your brain was finally trained to look for them. And your brain works the exact same way with opportunity. So if you focus on scarcity, if you focus on lack, you'll keep noticing that in your life. If you focus on what's missing, that's all that you're going to see. But if you start focusing on opportunity, your brain will start noticing ideas, noticing connections, openings, and possibilities that were already there. And so where your attention goes, energy flows, because your focus is shaping what you notice every single day. And your identity acts like a thermostat, because you cannot sustainably hold results above what you believe in here, right? So even if you touch a new level of success, of income, of the peace you wanted, of the confidence that you've always wanted to have, if your identity is not aligned, then you will unconsciously bring yourself back to what feels familiar. Okay, that is why so many people stay stuck. It's not a strategy issue. A lot of the times it's an identity issue. And it's because they are trying to create something that their nervous system still does not feel safe holding. But most people never reprogram themselves because they don't hit what I call their breaking point. And for me, that moment came in the worst way possible. My breaking point happened during one of the hardest seasons of my life. It was my junior year, and we had just won a conference championship, and everything seemed perfect. It seemed like it was going in the right direction. Then I have found out after season that I had torn both my hip labrums, and the doctors told me that it would require a year to recover. And that just ripped my heart out. In my mind, I didn't know what was happening next. And what made it worse was that my brother had the exact same surgery twice, and he never came back the same. So now I was not only just battling a physical injury, but I was battling the story I had already seen play out in my family. So I had the surgery, I was bedridden, and I had a cast from literally my hip down to my knee. I couldn't move, I could barely move, and I had so much to sit in with that. There was so much fear, so much doubt, so much frustration, so much disappointment, because I was asking God, why? Like, why, God? Why me? And in that moment, I had two choices. One, I could let fear define me, or two, I could start reprogramming my identity before I ever saw proof. And I just knew, guys, we like to flow in here, but I just knew that the Lord wanted me by himself. I knew that I was going to spend time with the Lord, and he did. He started training my mind for success. That's when it all happened. So the very worst thing that I thought, and having the injury, having the surgery, was in hindsight the best thing that could have ever happened to me. So what I started to do was I started to say I am and I will statement. But not just that, the Lord had me in an isolation phase. I was reading my Bible from day in to day out. I was studying and memorizing verses and scriptures all day long. And I would literally claim over my body what the word had said about me. So I am healed. I will play next season. I am strong. I will come back better than ever. I am not done. And I will say that over myself every single day. And this was just not like surface level motivation. It was not me just trying to hype myself up. It was totally God installing a new identity into me. God was literally giving me a new script to follow every single day. In a short time, that programming changed everything for me. I recovered in just 4 months. I had one of the best seasons. I wrote a 296 journal. So basically a book in just 2 weeks. My business at the time still failed, but the programming that the Lord had installed on me stayed. So it didn't matter what happened. It didn't matter if I failed, because I went on to go for my 5th year to play another season. I set the bench, but guess what? I still had the mental programming that the Lord had started in my mind. Okay, that same program became the foundation for everything that I built later. The way I handled adversity, the way I saw possibility, the way that I just kept going despite of what my circumstances looked like. And that was the way I eventually built a $30K a month business. So what I was actually doing in that hospital bed, it changed everything for me, because it comes down to understanding the difference between your comfort threshold and your calling capacity. So what I was actually doing in that hospital bed and my home bed changed everything. And what it comes down to is understanding the difference between your comfort threshold and your calling capacity. So your calling capacity is the level of impact, success, peace, and income that you believe that you are meant for. It is the life that you feel like you have been called to build, the bigger responsibility, the bigger influence, the bigger overflow. When you say to yourself, I just know I'm called for more. I know I'm called to impact people's lives. I have this passion. I have this desire. I have this thing that comes naturally. That is your calling capacity. And your comfort threshold is different. It's a level of struggle, of chaos, of stress, of limitation that feels normal to you. It is what your nervous system is used to, because even if it's painful, it is what feels familiar to it. A lot of people will say they want more, but their system is still calibrated for less. So when life starts getting better, when income starts increasing, when healthier opportunities start to rise, when relationships come up, they unconsciously create problems that bring them back to what feels normal. And this is exactly why people sabotage growth. They sabotage their income, healthier relationship, new opportunities, getting seen, being visible, right? Leadership opportunity. And it's not because they don't want it, but it is because unfamiliar expansion feels less safe than familiar discomfort. So your brain will literally choose familiar discomfort over familiar expansion and success. Even if that familiar is stressful, even if it's exhausting, even if it keeps you small. So I had to start reprogramming my mind for a whole new set of beliefs. That is, success is safe, that peace is productive, that expansion is normal, uncomfortability is normal, that overflow does not have to come with chaos. And I do not have to struggle to deserve more. And so you have to elevate your comfort threshold until it matches your calling capacity. Because if you don't do that, you will keep shrinking back every single time life gets bigger. And that might sound good in theory, but the real question is, how do you do that every single day? And that's exactly what I'm about to show you. If you guys are enjoying this conversation so far, I want you to go ahead, let's get vulnerable. Leave in the comments, what was your breaking point that led you to understand that you had to adopt a new set of beliefs? All right, now let's get back into it. The 3-step reprogramming system. So this is your daily reset, because you have to be able to step away from negative voices and realign yourself yourself with the truth every single day, because the world will always give you reasons to doubt yourself. Fear will talk, insecurity will talk, social media will talk, and comparison will talk. Your job is not to pretend like the voices don't exist. Your job is to return to the center faster, return to truth faster, return to alignment. And this could look like prayer for you, spending your time with God, journaling, time in silence, and speaking the truth out loud. It's anything that helps you to reset your mind before the world programs it for you. So that's one, a daily reset. Make this a priority for yourself, because when I was bedridden, I had all the time to spend it with my father, and I knew he wanted to spend it with me, but he was pouring truth into me. And sometimes that's what you need. You need your heavenly Father to pour truth, to pour life into you. So when things and outside circumstances are like eating away at you, the word of God says that I have a plan and a purpose for my life. And so the word recenters you. That daily reset, the time with God, recenters you. Step 2 is to write out I am and I will statement. I did this like literally like nobody's business. I could probably even show you. I had a stack of, it was like a red box, and I had a stack of note cards. And in those note cards, I wrote out every single affirmation possible. I am disciplined. I am hardworking. I will return. I am healed. I am called. I am chosen. I am disciplined. I am the quickest. I literally wrote out all the I am statements. So examples for you: I am disciplined. I am safe holding success. I'm a powerful leader. I will build a business that changes my family's line. I will become the woman or man who can lead at that level. As much as you give time for doubt, let's reverse that. Let's give the truth. Let's allow the truth to enter your life. And this is not manifestation fluff. This is allowing the word of God to literally, 1, install a programming into your mind, but 2, your brain learns through repetition. So the script that you repeat in your mind to yourself, to others, it matters. So be intentional with this. Speak words of life over yourself. And so step 3 is one identity-based action daily. So ask yourself, what would the 30K, 50K, 100K month version of me do today? Not the scared one, not the procrastinator, not the version who doesn't feel ready or who has to think about it constantly. What would the version of you who's already leading, who's already at that level, what would that version of you do? And then what I want you to do is do that one thing that matches that identity. Maybe it's making that call, it's sending that follow-up, it's posting the video, it's starting the business, it's scaling the business, it's talking to the partners, it's having that hard conversation. Whatever that may be for you, I want you to stay consistent even when you don't feel like it. So this is the real formula. I am, I will, and I do. Notice that action is what makes the identity real. Because if you keep saying new things but keep acting like the old version of yourself, then nothing changes. Identity becomes believable when your behavior starts matching it. Now, all of this compounds over time, but there is one mistake that completely derails people. So you have to understand this, because the only way that you will truly fail is if you quit. It's not if you have a bad day, right? And it's not a setback is a failure. A slow month is not a failure. A sloppy launch is not a failure. A flop video is not a failure. It only becomes a failure when you turn one moment into a permanent pattern. When you let one bad result become your whole identity. When you let one hard lesson convince you to stop. And sports psychology taught me this early, because bad practices will happen. Bench times happen, even though I didn't get benched into my last year, but losses happen, injuries happen, but none of that means the story is over. Now, life will give you data, right? And in sports, you keep taking those reps. You just learn, you adjust, you keep showing up. And business is the exact same way. The mindset shift you need is that life gives you data, not failure. A bad sales call, that's just data. A lost client, that is just data. A flop video, that gives you data. And the problem is that most people personalize that data. Instead of asking what this can teach them, they make it mean something about who they are. And small identity shifts compound. They shift your thoughts, your actions, your habits, your outcomes, and then eventually your whole life. And the sad part is most people quit right before they break through. They stop in the messy middle. They stop before the repetition actually pays off. They stop before their new identity has fully taken root. And I don't want that to be you. So mental programming isn't about motivation or waiting for inspiration to strike. It's about understanding that your brain is like a computer. Your identity is the operating system. And if you want different results, you need to install new software. It's about realizing that your external life will never exceed your internal programming. So you have to do the internal work first. And this is so powerful because it's about taking one aligned action every single day that proves to yourself that you are that person already. So if you want to stop self-sabotaging and stop staying stuck at the same income level, and finally step into the version of you that's built for massive success, click the first link in the description to book a free strategy call with me. On that call, we'll map out your current strategy, identify what's been blocking you, and create a clear plan to scale your business to consistent 30K plus months. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.